I never thought it would happen to me. That's typically what you hear when a violent crime or something bad happens to somebody. And we live in pre-fight, guys. Pre-fight, in-fight, and post-fight. That pre-fight is all about awareness. What is your level of awareness? What are you doing on a daily basis to increase your ability to understand how to set yourself up for success, to mitigate this risk in your life, and to just be better for those around you, to become that asset? This is what we're going to talk about in this episode, guys. It's really important. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of it, from paying attention, getting your head on your phone, all the way to being an asset for those around you. That's what we're going to discuss. And I think it's an extremely relevant episode because of the holidays, because of the Christmas season. You guys are out there. Let's not get complacent. Let's add a couple of things to our toolbox that we can understand to be able to be a little bit better with that level of awareness. All right, so gear. You guys know me. I'm a gear dork. I'm a gear guy. I'm constantly trying to figure out what's new, what's better. Gators just released these Deltas, and I am so fired up about these things because I've been rocking Gators my whole life, my whole career. I've been rocking Gators my whole career since I can remember, and I've always had the specific style that I've used along the way. And now they finally have a pair that I can chill in. It just looks cool. They just nailed it with this style. So I think that it's probably around the holiday season right now. And I'm just saying, if you're looking for a gift idea, this is it, man. The Gators Deltas. These things are badass. They're super comfortable. And they look really cool. I'm just going to leave them on for this intro. So Dynamis is constantly evolving, guys, and we just released a badass pair of IWS jeans, and they are called the Apex. They are a loose fitting in the thigh boot cut pant that is made with the 9-pocket design, the signature slash pockets. It's got a signature multicam waistband. It's cut out for IWS to be able to put all your pouches in there. Go check them out. They're going to go fast. We're continuing to build out our technology and our intellectual property here to be able to give you guys the best possible jeans, denim, pants, and clothing possible to change the way you think about what you wear on a daily basis. The pouches are continually evolving, and this is just one that I've got in my hand. And like I said, if you can conceptualize it, we can build it. If you guys have specific units or custom orders that you guys want to build, or a specific product, that's what we do here. We customize stuff for guys that are out there, that are getting it, that are doing it every day, that are literally taking action and living this lifestyle, and also for the everyday citizen. I mean, you guys could be carrying your cash and ID in one pouch that we build. We have guys that manipulate it, and we actually sell the medkit pouch by itself now. So you can put your passport in there. You can put extra money in there, cash, documents. That way you've got that thing tucked into your waistband and your pockets are empty and you've got your dummy wallet or whatever the case is. Talk about awareness. If I go travel, if I have a dummy wallet that I can just hand over, I'll be like, here's some cash. Here's my whatever ID, my student ID or whatever the heck I've got to be able to give it over. I'm not too concerned about losing that as opposed to all my credit cards, my identifications that I have in there. I want to be able to retain that. So keeping it comfortably inside your waistband is not a place that everybody's going to look at all. Most people aren't. And the other pouch that I have in my hand is the pistol mag pouch that we upgraded. This is a 365 mag that I've got in here and SIG 365, and I can easily swap that out with a Glock 19, Glock 17 mag or a double stack. So it does single and double stack, and it allows you to adapt along the way. This episode is brought to you by Redcon One. You guys know my favorite supplement company out there. These guys are doing big things, evolving every single day. I can't say that enough, honestly. Aaron Singerman is such an amazing leader, and I've watched this brand evolve so fast. And, our shelves are full of MRE now. MRE Light, Ration. We've got pre-workout. All of the stuff that they put out is really high quality. It's awesome tasting. And if you're looking for a supplement to take you into the new year, into 2020, I've got a couple of guys that I just spoke with. They're like, I'm not really taking anything. I'm like, look, this is the gap filler. This is what supplements do for you. I want to eat a whole meal. I want to eat multiple meals a day, but this is a gap filler. When I'm on the move and I need more protein, or I need to up my protein intake, or I need to have a meal replacement, this is the stuff that I want laying around with me, because if I miss that gap, I'm taking away from what I'm doing and that hard work that I'm putting in each and every day. So I like being able to have this stuff around. We've been using it every single day. The MRE bars, this one's empty because I already crushed this. And I always talked about the banana was one of my favorites. Now I think I'm switching to the oatmeal chocolate chip, to be honest with you. I think this is starting to become my number one flavor. So I eat multiple bars a day. They're just delicious. They don't have much sugar at all in them, high protein, and they're just a good snack to have with you on the road. So go check them out, redcon1.com. Remember, you can always use code DOM, D-O-M, for 20% off of everything on the site. It's redcon1.com. And without further ado, let's get into some awareness. Give you guys some tips for the holidays. Let's go. We are all going to have to fight. I don't care if it's mentally, physically, or spiritually. We are all going to have to fight for something in our lives. My goal is to help you forge your will to fight, to become the best that you can possibly be for yourself, your family, and everybody else around you. I'm Dom Raso. Welcome to the Will to Fight podcast. All right, guys. We always hear people say, I never thought it would happen to me. I didn't think it could have been my neighborhood. I didn't think it could have happened here. And I didn't think it could happen like that. That's the response that you hear most of the time when a violent crime happens or just a crime in general. And it makes me sick to my stomach because the people that are engaged in living that proactive lifestyle, we know better. We know it exists. That's why we train. That's why we put so much effort into the small things, forging our ability to think, having the right training and the skills to apply to each and every day, and then having the right equipment. That's the whole methodology of why I exist in the first place. This is one subject that I'm extremely passionate about sharing with you guys and talking you through. It's the holiday season right now. And there's somebody out there that thinks they need your stuff more than you do. And there's somebody out there looking to disrupt your life for whatever reason, on whatever day, for whatever circumstance they're going through. There is somebody out in the world that would love an opportunity to disrupt your life or hurt you or take away what's yours or ruin your life or change your life forever. It exists. I always say that there's a small percentage of something happening in your life. But if we can mitigate that, if we can crush that percentage down to nothing, why wouldn't we want to do those small things each and every day through our training, thinking, and the way we set ourselves up to avoid and de-escalate those situations right out of our lives? There are going to be things that happen that you cannot control. Ambushes are real, but we can prevent our ability to go through those or even see them coming a little bit more if we have the right tools and the right awareness and the right understanding of how to apply this to our daily lives. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down some statistics for you guys. I'm going to break this down because it's important for me, and security, safety, awareness, this is what I do each and every day. I literally live my life out to be able to make people safer, make my family safer, make myself more aware. So I want to convey this as best as I possibly can. Why is this important to me? Before I get into the statistics and the data here, I have listened to so many people, as you can probably imagine, when you live a life teaching people how to be safer and people show up to your courses. Hey, I want to change the way that I think. I want to be better at carrying a firearm. I want to understand how to carry a blade when I can't have a firearm. I want to understand how to fight for my life if it came down to that. I'm sure you can imagine how many people I've had come up to me to be like, this is why I'm here. And I get to hear stories from people that say, I have been raped. I have been kidnapped. I have been assaulted. I have been taken advantage of. My house was broken into. My family was held at gunpoint while I wasn't home and had stuff robbed from the place that I go to every single night. My door was kicked in the middle of the night. My car was stolen. I've heard a lot of different scenarios that are very, very real to people. And I want to be able to at least share some key things that you guys can do in your own life to change that, to stop that, to see it coming. In this holiday season, we're all running around with our heads cut off, trying to shop, go out, take care of family. Everybody's in the holiday spirit, which is awesome. I love this time of year. We get to celebrate the birth of Christ. And we get to celebrate, that's what Christmas is, by the way, if you need a reminder. Christmas, right? There's an element of the season that brings a lot of joy and spirit, and that is all good. And I hope everybody enjoys this season. But what we don't want to do is get so complacent through that by not doing these little things to set us up for success that we end up getting ourselves in a position that we could have avoided. That's my goal today. I'm going to read this. This is from the FBI.gov website, and this is some statistics that I've thought were helpful just to understand where we are as a culture. I believe education, training, awareness has played a huge part in why some of these things that I'm about to read are happening. But we have to continue to fight against that. And as soon as we get complacent, especially with these younger generations coming up right now, and these kids that are going to, have their own house someday or own apartment someday or walking out on their own in their own career, they're going to need the fortitude to understand where we are today. There's a lot of responsible citizens and adults that take this stuff very seriously, like I do, and carry each and every day to be able to protect themselves, that are going into what I'm about to read. Okay, so this is from the FBI statistics. This is 2018, by the way. For the second consecutive year, the estimated number of violent crimes in the nation decreased when compared with the previous year's statistics. According to the FBI figures released today, in 2018, violent crime was down 3.3% from the 2017 number. Property crimes also dropped 6.3%. Property crimes. Marking the 16th consecutive year, the collective estimates for these offenses declined. Okay, so if this is the 16th consecutive year that these offenses have declined, what are we doing better? What's getting better about our culture that we're beginning to understand? I'm going to tell you right now, it's not gun laws. Okay, a huge part of the decline is people understanding that they have the right and the ability, and it's a reawakening in your own right, your inalienable right to protect yourself, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, life. We have to be able to protect our own lives. People are getting a lot smarter now of understanding, like, oh, wait a minute. I do have the right to protect myself. What does that mean? What does it mean to be able to protect myself and my family? Once you see somebody get taken advantage of, or you get taken advantage of, your mindset will shift and change for the rest of your life. And my goal is to get you to cut that off at the pass. My goal is to get you to confront that right from the very beginning. Stop living in this reactive state of mind where, oh, I wish and I hope that nothing happens to me, or I hope that nothing unfolds. Hey, reality check, evil exists in this world, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's just like firearms. I tell people all the time, I said, look, I would much rather good people know how to use them for the right reasons than not know how to use them at all. Well, the bad guys out there, they're always going to have them. They're always going to know how to use them, and they're going to find a way to hurt people with them. So why not flip that on its head and take responsibility and accountability for what you know is the truth? Okay, that's just one aspect of it. It's declining because we're getting smarter. It's declining because we're becoming more aware. Okay, sharing data and information is something that can really hurt us, but it can also really help us. And when we know how to take advantage of it for the right reasons, we're using it for the right reasons, it can really give us an upper hand in what we're doing. And I know a lot of people out there, look, I have people in my family that are the most unsuspecting people that I would have thought would ever decide to take security as a whole seriously. And I've had people over the last several years call me and be like, hey, I've never really thought like this before, but I'm buying a firearm to protect myself. Things seem to be getting really out of control and unstable, and I'm unsure. And people are realizing that it's necessary to protect yourself. It's a right that you have that you should absolutely understand and know how to deploy, because if that event ever happens, you're going to be glad and thankful that you did. Okay, so the second part of the statistics, 2018 statistics show the estimated rate of violent crime was 368.9 offenses per 100,000 inhabitants. And the estimated rate of property crime was 2,199.5 offenses per 100,000 inhabitants. The violent crime rate fell 3.9% when compared with the 2017 rate. The property crime rate declined 6.9%. Okay? The property rate declined 6.9%. The violent crime rate fell 3.9%. Okay, so there's something that's happening that's a good thing. And I do believe that it's this continued education, this continued accountability to what each and every individual needs to be doing. I talk about it all the time, guys. I love law enforcement. I love first responders. I love military. I respect and honor every single one of them until they give me a reason not to. Okay? There's always going to be a spectrum of people. I don't care where you go. Think about where you work right now. There's a spectrum of people there. This guy's awesome. This guy sucks. This guy makes everybody's life more difficult. This guy's an asset. This guy's a liability. That spectrum exists everywhere in the world, no matter what field you're doing it in. So we can sit here all day and go back and forth on law enforcement. And yeah, there's going to be guys that are rock stars. And I've met tons of them. And then there's going to be guys out there that don't do their job well, just like in the military, just like when I was in the military. Guys got kicked out for doing stupid stuff, for not doing the right thing, for going overboard on specific things. And this is the understanding that we need to apply to every spectrum across the board. Why am I bringing that up? Well, we are our own first responders first, okay? I make it a habit of understanding what the response time is each and every place that I live and I reside and I spend time in. I want to know, hey, how long is it going to take if something bad happens here right now for law enforcement or anybody else to show up? The truth is, guys, that it's a long frickin' time. Fights, violent crimes, all this stuff is over in a matter of seconds, maybe minutes. They're not going to be there. Okay, there's some of these situations that are going to continue to unfold, especially active shooter scenarios and hostage scenarios and things that are a little bit more complicated. Yeah, they can drag out. That's why being prepared for them is important. But most of these things are happening very, very quickly. And by the time somebody responds, they're not typically there to save you. Their main focus is not, oh, where's Dom? I can't wait to get in front of Dom, shield him, tell him exactly what to do and where to go. That's my responsibility. The responsibility of the responding unit is to go and take care of the problem, to create a solution for the exact problem. They're going to identify that and then get there. So you guys have to understand to be able to shift the mindset right away to be like, I am my own first responder. Anything that we plan for, I'm going to talk about planning here in a second. Anything that we plan for or anything that we think about takes an intense visualization. I need to be able to visualize these scenarios and understand that it's my responsibility. And if I'm not prepared to deal with them, then I'm probably not going to have the best outcome that I could if I did pre-think about this. The increasing fact that we have increasing education, increasing awareness, and everybody's capability in general, think about training. You know, most people around the World War II era were pretty in tune with, hey, this is a firearm. It's laying around the house. There were no safes or there were no places to lock it up. And you were just smart about what you did. You had a level of awareness that didn't let kids go grab a gun, that didn't know what they were doing. And then kids at a young age will learn and respect a firearm, just like I did when I was younger. Thank you, Dad. This is an understanding of a culture shift that we have to have. Okay? Having these as a part of our lives is so important. But you've got to know how to do it the right way. But I feel like since that World War II generation, to where everybody really had them around, they had an intimacy with them, we've since lost that a little bit because we've been able to disconnect ourselves with how much freedom we have. If you haven't went and watched the World War II video I did with the NRA, please go watch that video because it's one of the most impactful and powerful videos that I've done. And my question was, did we fight too hard for freedom? And that kind of leaves me scratching my head a little bit. Like, did I even ask that question? And I mean, if you really think about that question, it like hurts me to ask that question, you know, and it's not that I really truly believe like, wait, did we fight so hard? No, what I'm talking about is we fought so hard it allowed us to be ignorant and complacent. It allowed us to get to a point as a culture to sit back where we made such a wave in the world that we were able to sit back and be like, cool, I'm good. I have my freedom. We can go do whatever we want. There's nothing I got to fight for. Why are we fighting? And eventually we allowed ourselves to get complacent with what it means to be able to protect ourselves. Well, I think we're seeing a big change in the idea that that's still important and it can't go away, especially as a citizen. I need to be prepared. I need to be able to protect myself, my family, my beliefs, what the ground that I stand on. That's why this country is so amazing, because we have the ability to do that. The second we lose that ability, we're not the United States anymore. We are not founded on the principles and the values that created this country in the first place. That's why we've had our struggles. We've had our difficulties. We've had our challenges along the way. But the second we start mocking and questioning the very values that created our momentum in the first place, shows that we don't understand how we've been able to create the freedom that we have today. Yeah, we did some stupid stuff. Yeah, we didn't do it right, but here we are. And now we have the right, the much needed right, to be able to bear arms and protect ourselves. You guys know that I am an avid Second Amendment supporter. I'm an every amendment supporter. You know, there's a reason that we are where we are today, and each and every detail matters. Okay? It's like when we single out the Second Amendment as its only issue without talking about everything else, we miss the point. We miss the point of how everything is held together. Okay? And I could go on a tangent here, but I'm going to kind of pull back a little bit to keep focused on what I want to talk about. But your right to self-protection, your inalienable right, is something that you need to take seriously and you need to understand. Because if you lose that idea and you don't fight for it, it goes right back to the quote, our freedom is only one generation away from extinction. So if we don't take that seriously, then how seriously are we going to apply to continue to fight for that next generation to be able to keep what we've built here? I don't think anybody can disagree that what we've built here is absolutely incredible. It's mind-blowing. Compared to the world and our evolution, to what we've been able to do with technology, with giving back in the world, with being able to reach out and say, hey, we're going to help with a cause. We're going to help with a natural disaster. We're going to be able to show up and defend other countries from other people that are trying to create tyranny and communism and all that other stuff. It's an amazing capability that we've created here. So don't lose sight of the small details or big details like the Second Amendment and why they're so important. Other thing that I talk about is that we all have fears that we visualize. We all have things that we think about. Our goal is to crush those fears and get rid of them completely. Our goal is to completely wipe them out so that we convert them into something else. We convert them to understand that we can empower them, weaponize the fear that we've got inside ourselves to create something good out of it. If you are complaining or have fear that it could happen to you, but you refuse to do anything about it, then to me, you're part of the problem and not the solution. Okay, if you have something that you're terrified of or think that's going to pop up in your life or that you should be doing, but yet you haven't made a stand or a step to go do something about it, you're part of the problem. And I even say all the time, like, I don't think that you should be able to bitch about anything if you haven't done anything to fix it. So this is where social media comes into play. Oh, social media. Like, we have the ability to let anybody have a voice, right? And everybody should have a voice. But at what point is the value of that coming to fruition? Okay, once you say something and you put it on the airwaves, what are you doing to action on it now? I don't like this. Okay, great. You don't like it. That's an opinion. Okay, what have you done to fix it? Have you actually got up, got your ass off your couch, stepped out of your house, and gone to actually fight for what you're complaining about? Because if your fingers even type about anything on social media that you don't agree with, whether it's something that you're afraid of with a threat or that you're dealing with politics, then realistically, I don't think that you should even bother wasting your time on social media because you're not doing anything with it. Spend your energy some other place. If I'm talking to you right now, and if I'm talking to you that has something in your mind, like, what if this happened? What if I did get kidnapped? What if I did get held at gunpoint? What if I did go into this situation? It happened to my friend. It happened to multiple people I know. It happened in this area. and you know it's a possibility, especially those of you guys that have confronted it. And if you listen to the Will to Fight podcast, you're probably going to understand that you probably should be taking action. And I'm just challenging you. I'm challenging you to do more. I'm challenging you to do more in your life to be able to step up, take action, get reps in, to move forward a small percentage so you can crush that other percent that you know exists that could affect your life. That's the whole mindset shift, guys. This whole time, I am building a foundation of the way that we're thinking about these things. I want to approach all of this from the same perception. I want to approach what awareness and security means to me. Okay, if we have a level of awareness and we're able to shift our mindset, it's going to help set us up for success. It's going to help set us up to understand why we're going into this in the first place. Okay, as we start moving into creating this foundation, and now what do we do with it, right? A lot of people are like, hey, awareness, mindset, cool, awesome. Here's all this stuff that you should be afraid of. Well, what are we doing with it? What skills am I going to give you today on this episode to say, here are some things that you should be doing that are very easy to do, that even if you don't step into a gym, please do these things. Please just get something out of taking action here and practicing your awareness and repetition with being able to improve the way you think. I can walk out the store and be better. Okay, so that means that for sure that you guys that are listening to this that haven't done much in this realm can do something to improve your overall awareness. Like I said, may I remind you that it is the holiday season. So it's important to be able to prep yourself and go out there with a little bit higher level of awareness, and you can practice this. Okay, you can practice getting reps in with your awareness. You can increase your awareness by practicing and getting repetition in, but you have to be intentional. And I always say, this is not paranoia. Okay, so if anybody listening to this or anybody that tries to argue, like, well, why are you being so paranoid? Why are you putting all this effort into this? And I always say it has nothing to do with paranoia. It has everything to do with being prepared. Okay, what do we know in our lives that we want to go crush? That we want to go do? Is it a career? Is it a goal? Is it a thing that we want to obtain? Okay, all those things take a level of awareness and they take a level of preparation. We have to prepare for them. So this is the counter to what you can't see. I was just having a conversation this morning. When you're getting ready to go into something, especially when you're dealing with threats, you almost have to be comfortable with the unknown. You have to build a relationship with the unknown. I have a very interesting love for the unknown. Like I have a passion to not know what's going to happen, because that means that I'm going to learn something about myself. It's going to be a surprise. I'm going to see something and have to problem solve through the unknown. We get so complacent today where everybody wants to know what's happening, and that preparedness is setting you up for success and understanding that you have to have a comfortability with that unknown. There's always going to be a level of unknown. Whether you're listening to this right now and you're driving down the road, or you're working out in the gym, or you're getting ready to start your holiday shopping because it's Friday, we have to get comfortable with the unknown. And it's the same thing. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And most of the time, unknown is uncomfortable. That's why so many people are like, oh, I've got my life exactly the way I want it. Routine is great. It can kill you, though. It can literally swallow you whole and strangle you to death with the quote that I always talk about: the chains of habit are often too light to feel until they're too heavy to be broken. Think about that for a second. The chains of habit are too light to feel until they're too heavy to be broken. And when you realize that you have a habit that's so heavy and it's holding you down, it's smoking, anything that's unhealthy for you, that's just taking a piece of you away every single day, pulling, poking at you. All of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, I could be so much further if I didn't have this chain that I didn't even realize what it was doing to me. It's time to rip that thing off and crush that thing until it doesn't exist anymore. The reason I'm bringing all that up, guys, is because these habits that we create in our daily lives are important to being prepared, to visualizing, to preparing for what's ahead, to understand that uncomfortable is a good thing. Challenge is a good thing. Unknown is a good thing. When we think that way, it already starts helping us shift our mindset to be able to prepare for and deal with and overcome certain threats that are going to pop into our lives. So, number one, when I talk about awareness, especially in today's culture, and please Share this with your wife, your husband, your kids, your teenagers, anybody that's using a technology device or a phone. Please share this with them. Because in today's culture, this is our biggest downfall. There are so many crimes and so many things happening because we have such a low level of awareness. And if we can't see something coming, guys, how are we supposed to avoid it? Our awareness, our pre-fight, what I always talk about, the stages of a fight. Pre-fight, in-fight, and post-fight. Guess what? We live in that pre-fight mode. That pre-fight mode is where we live right here. If we are constantly in pre-fight mode, then we need to know how to set ourselves up for success. And part of that is putting this thing away, putting it in your pocket where it belongs. When you are out in a public environment, if you are walking through a crowd, if you are walking in a parking lot, if you are walking in a mall, in a store, I don't care where it is, guys, this thing should not be out unless you absolutely need it out. Okay, there are some very rare circumstances, even from a social media standpoint, I need to post and I need to put things up and I try to get stuff out at specific times. When that's happening, I'm very intentional about where I'm positioned, where my wife is, where my kids are, how I'm thinking. I'm intentional about it. What I'm not doing is I'm not shifting gears. We always talk about that mental condition. If you come to any one of our courses, you know that mental condition is important. Who am I with? Who are they? What mental condition am I in? And where am I setting myself up for success? How are these things coming into fruition? We pretty much have this phase line of questions that we ask ourselves. So understanding that how we position ourselves and where we are is so important. I'm not going to pull that thing out unless I absolutely have to and if I have a good environment to do it in. I always say, put your back up against the wall. If you need to take this or you need to take a call or you need to look at your navigation or you have to send that text out, right? If you're Snapchatting and you're doing stuff that can wait, then you really should be waiting, okay? Nothing on this phone is worth your life, okay? And when I'm with my family, I really don't pull my phone out much at all because I have every one of my people that I love and care about most right there with me. So what is more important on this thing? And that's something that I'm constantly evolving each and every day. But this is where we need to start, guys. And that's going to help our awareness. It's going to help your intentional awareness, your visualization, and your ability to create a trigger for yourself. I always talk about neuro-linguistic programming. I talk about what does neuro-linguistic programming mean? Neuro-linguistic programming is the ability to trigger your mind based off a stimulus. That's what I've come to understand it. That's my perception, and that's my training. And that's how I look at what neuro-linguistic programming is. It's a trigger. It's basically taking something and responding differently based off of something that's happening in your mind. It could be an emotion or a stimulus or whatever the case is. If I'm out and I'm not thinking, I have my head up my ass, and I start walking along on the street and I pull my phone out, just looking at my phone and the fact that I'm moving and walking is one of my triggers to be like, okay, what am I doing on this? Do I really need to have it out? And that's one of my triggers to be like, okay, I know it isn't. Put your head up. Scan because you clearly are not in the right state of mind right now. If you pulled your phone out and you're walking with your family, that just goes to show you that you're not thinking properly. You're not being proactive in that environment. So instantaneously, because I know I have my head up my ass, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm clearly not paying attention. Boom, phone goes away. And I'm like, okay, what else did I miss for the last 10 minutes? Because clearly I'm not thinking properly. That is a trigger. Going like this in a public environment is a trigger for me to be like, dang it. I know I shouldn't be doing this right now. So this goes away. My awareness comes up. Okay, that's an example of what neuro-linguistic programming is. Now, the reason I'm talking about awareness and awareness can be practiced is because that has to become a habit. That doesn't happen overnight. If you have a bad habit of walking while you're looking at your phone, I'm going to tell you right now that's not something that you're going to break right now. You can make the decision to change it, and you can have a very powerful impact on the way that you're thinking and reorienting your brain on where you know you should be going, but you have got to put it into practice. You've got to create it into a habit. Okay, 60 to 90 days to create a habit depending on the complexity of the task. That's what we're looking at here. So if you do that for 60 to 90 days, you have got to stay disciplined to be super intentional, aware about it. Write it on your hand, write it on your phone, put it on your screen. Your kids that you're trying to change your habit of, and you're trying to say, hey kids, this is just making me think that maybe I should make a screensaver that actually says, look at your surroundings, be more aware, be intentional, check your 6, and put your phone away. Maybe we need to come up with a checklist, because that for 60 to 90 days will help kids, adults, older people to be able to pull their phone out and be like, oh, you know what? Dom was telling me that I need to put my phone away. I got to do my scan my surround. Okay, I know I'm doing the wrong thing. That's not a bad idea, actually. So what I'm getting at, guys, is that you need to create that habit. You need to forge that habit throughout your life. This is not something that I think that you should play around with. There's a reason I'm saying it's number one, and it goes with all technology, whether it's in a vehicle or a phone. This is something to take seriously, and especially in younger kids. If we're just letting our kids from a young age stare at their phones and walk around, guys, I'm sorry that you're programming them to fail. You are programming your kids to fail. And people are being taken advantage of every single day because they're not aware. Their pre-fight sucks. And it's our responsibility to increase your pre-fight and everybody else around you, especially our children. We have to work on the pre-fight. Okay, awareness and being in public. Being in different environments. It could be anywhere that you think of. When I often say, if we're going to get better at our awareness, if we're going to improve our overall awareness, then we want to understand our threat environment. And when I say that might sound aggressive, but it's the truth. So where do you work? Where do you travel? Where do you drive every day? What gas station do you go to? Who do you hang out with? What neighborhoods do you travel through? Those are your threat environment. And what I mean by threat environment is that that's where the most likely spot is something's going to happen. So we want to analyze our threat environment. Once we analyze our threat environment, for example, let's say that you live in New York and you travel to a parking garage every day, or you park on the street every day, and you know that this is a little bit more of a tense part of the neighborhood where people are constantly bumping you, petty theft and pickpocketing is really high, and people doing small crimes here and there is really, really high. Well, we need to be able to shift our mindset, but it's understanding and basically confronting and being conscious, bringing that to the forefront of our minds. Each environment needs to be a conscious thought. Why is this environment different than this one? What are the key things I need to be paying attention to in each one of these environments, and being intentional about going through that environment? Got the beautiful jets flying over Virginia Beach today. Every environment that you walk into is going to be different. What I think about when I walk into an environment, and this is what I tell guys in my course, is that if I look anywhere that I walk into, if you ever see me walking into an environment, I own everything in there. And that's the way that I treat it. Because if I walk in there like, oh, I'm just going to go sit in my seat and kind of do my thing, well, I've never got a rep in to be like, what belongs to me in here? What belongs to me in this room that I could use to my advantage if a threat presented itself right here and now? It takes a second to be able to do that. Look around the room, okay? I've got a bag over there which could serve as a shield. I've got, oh, look at that. I've got a coat rack over there that I could rip off the wall and use as a shield. I've got a chair. There's bar stools right there. There's mugs sitting on the table that I could use as a projectile. I'm instantly taking in that environment and making everything mine. That way, when it does happen, I've already had a visual and mental rep that I went and put my hand on that already. So each environment that you go into, you should be consciously thinking this way. Think about a mall, for example. Malls typically, okay, there's not any absolutes on anything that I ever say, by the way, guys. Nothing that I ever say is 100% sure. But when I say things like, hey, if you're in a mall, typically in a mall, you're going to have entrances that connect behind each store. Okay, there's little alleyways that you can go through. There's cutouts, there's emergency exits. There's all kinds of things that we want to be aware of. And that's just understanding each environment. That's just understanding where you are. That's visualizing all the way through, not just this is a store with a cashier at the back. This is a store that has a cashier and a counter and a door I can get through and a back room I can get through and probably some industrial stuff that I could use to my advantage, and then interconnecting rooms, and possibly gets me to an exit, and possibly gets me to some other things that I could use as a weapon or cover. This is the type of thinking that you need to be visualized. If you aren't willing to go to that depth to be able to visualize, then you're not setting yourself up for success. Remember, Environmental manipulation is a principle that we use on our combative courses. It's a principle that I use in just awareness in general. Environmental manipulation. If I understand how to manipulate that environment, then I've got a rep in understanding my awareness in that environment. So that's what I'm getting at here, guys. This is number 2, environmental manipulation. Understand your environment. That is awareness in general. Put away the phone. Look at your environment for what you have, even in this room, right here, right now. There's not much that I have for cover in this room. There's really no cover. There's a lot of concealment. You know, even if I flip this table over, like this isn't going to stop bullets, but this is concealment. You know, now if somebody sees me flip a table over, I'm probably not going to be concealed very longer because they're going to see that movement. The eye's attracted to movement. But now I know, at least in here, I've got Pelican cases I could use as a shield. I've got a bag I could use as a shield. Of course, I'm carrying. I have my blade on the table. These mannequins I could use as a shield. These chairs I could use as a shield. The tripods that the cameras are on, those are an awesome distance weapon to be able to create pain in distance and crash in. Okay, clear, control, crush. That's stuff we talk about in our combatives courses. The idea, guys, is that you're getting reps in. You're increasing your awareness by understanding your environment. If you walk into the environment not knowing what's around you, then you didn't do everything that you could to set yourself up for success. That's one way that we can increase our overall awareness, okay? So you have to also understand that your plan and what you do with your plan is important. Planning, like I said before, it takes visualization. Visualization, intense visualization, is going to be part of that planning process. You know, I'm trying to think of something simple. You know, you guys are going to be spending a lot of times around shopping plazas and malls this season. So know that, okay, it's a very simple plan. If I'm with my kids and I have to go into Best Buy, well, I know Best Buy has a front entrance. I know that typically they have a back where they do vehicle installation and customization. There's an exit there. There's a big high bay door, probably shut during the winter. Okay, there's other exits that go out the back of that door. I know they've got restrooms there. I know they've got multiple entry points. So if I think about that, I'm just doing that right there just set me up. That way, if an active shooter happened or somebody pulled out a gun in that situation, I already know where I could go. I already know my paths that I could just go, you know, seamlessly to. Nothing's stopping me from getting here to there. You know, I respond, I check out what's going on, but now I've already had a visual rep of getting out that door. That's part of that planning process. If I can't use intense visualization with the idea that I'm understanding and manipulating my environment, then I'm not continuing to set myself up for that planning phase. And the planning doesn't take long. You can do on-the-fly planning. You know, hey, we're going to go to this store. Okay, cool. What store is it? We're going to go to this mall. All right, well, we're parking in the parking garage. I understand there's a lot of cover in the parking garage because there's cement all over the place. I got vehicles out there. We've got the door entrance. Oh, look at this stanchion as we walk in. That's cover. We've got escalators, which don't ever take, by the way. Nobody take escalators, okay? Unless you're absolutely forced that you have to. And then hopefully you're walking up them. Sometimes I don't find stairwells, but I'll try to block everybody so I have a little bit of area to room and to step in. But you guys know me, crush stairs. But the idea is that you're understanding your environment, right? You're looking at every possible avenue that you could utilize. And the thing is I'm not trying to instill paranoia into you guys. You have to understand it's not hard to do this stuff. You turn it into a game where you're like, okay, now I understand the environment a little bit better. I understand that if I go around that wall, there's good cover there. There's an exit over there. That's part of my planning process. Okay, when we were doing fire maneuver in BUDS, in the teams, okay, I use examples of this stuff, but we talked about finding a door or finding an out, right? If we got into a gunfight, it's like, where's our out? Where are we trying to get everybody to a safe point, to consolidate everybody, to get to that door? That's kind of what we do to think about rolling through each environment, even in the mall. So if I'm with my kids, I'm rolling through that environment and I'm walking through and I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, well, if something were to happen right here, where's the best place to go? Okay, we move another 100 yards. Where's the best place to go from right here? Again, it literally takes that much to think about. But if I don't think that way, then again, I'm not doing everything I can to set myself up for success. And maybe you already knew some of these things, and maybe you learned something new out of this podcast that you're like, oh, I could utilize that to add to what I'm not already doing or fortify and strengthen something that I already am. So this rolling idea of where would I go next? Where would I go next? Where would I go next? If something happened right here, I'd go here. If something happened right here, I'd move them here and then be here. Okay, it's just mental repetition that I'm going through. I like doing it. I enjoy doing it. It's my lifestyle. It's my life. I encourage you guys to create that habit to at least be able to do it intentionally when you say, hey, I'm feeling a little sketchy right now. Things don't feel right to me. The hair is standing up on the back of my neck. This guy's yelling at us and we're in a dark alleyway. Well, at least at that point, hopefully before it's happened, but you're starting to think, okay, where could I go right now? Where's my avenue of approach and exit, and where could I go? At least you're starting to wrap that in. Ideally, it becomes a habit for you because all it can do is help you. All it can do is help you mitigate this risk to your life and to your family's life. It allows you to think and be predictive in the thinking that way. I always talk about living in a proactive state of mind. That's exactly what that is. I'm just living proactively throughout reality that does exist and can happen. And especially when I'm going into each different environment that has a higher risk. Okay, if I go to one gas station that's been robbed 100 times and this other gas station's been robbed 5 times, why wouldn't I want to start picking the one that's been robbed way less to take my family to, even if it's a couple minutes out of the way? Okay, that's understanding my environment. That's planning. That's setting myself up for success. But then if I do go to these environments that I know is higher risk, and I'm like, all right, well, we're forced to go to this. This has had some criminal activity. It can happen anywhere, anyway. Why would I not want to set myself up for success in thinking about the predictability of where I'm going to put my family and where I'd go in a scenario? With not putting much effort into it, it can make a big difference. So the idea that we want to have contingencies, guys, and this is the last part of this podcast. I wanted to make this one around 40 minutes today. The last part of this is having contingencies. And I talk a lot with Eddie Penny over at Contingent Group, speaking of contingencies, about the idea of how do we set ourselves up after the fact. Okay, the contingency plans that we have. When nothing else worked or we have to fall back on something, this is when I start thinking about, where's my med kit? Where's my blowout kit? Where is my extra magazines? Where is a firearm? Where is cover and concealment? My contingency that I have to be able to flex and really escalate or de-escalate what we have going on. And it just takes thought and takes intentionality. Go through your mental checklist. Are you prepared at home? Do you have a contingency plan in your own house? If the door gets kicked in and something goes boom in the middle of the night, what are you going to do? Have you thought through that? Have you planned that out and created contingencies based off of that idea? Where's your firearm located? Do you have dogs? Go to Divine Canines. Do you have an animal that will help you or at least create a buffer or alert you? Are you prepared? Do you communicate this plan with your family? Do you communicate with your plan when you go out in general? If you get a bunch of people that you shop with often and that you're going out this holiday season, okay, somebody's got to be the asset. And somebody has to think about these things. Most likely it's you. If you're listening to this podcast, it's probably you. You need to set yourself up and the people that you're with up for success. I'm always thinking, who's a liability, who's an independent, and who's an asset that's around me? What's my mental condition and where are we going? With that, I can start thinking of my plan. I can start thinking of what I have on me to be prepared, and I can start thinking of my contingencies. If you're sitting out somewhere, it would really suck to have somebody that's bleeding out. Now, I'm guilty of this too, guys. I don't go out to every place that I go to and say, all right, where's the nearest hospital? Now, do I know where the nearest hospital is around here in the ER? Yes, absolutely. I know exactly how to get there. If you're living in a town right now or you go and shop or you're in an area often and you have no idea where the hospital is, shame on you. And that's your fault, and you need to fix that. Because if you live around an area, these are part of the contingency plans that are easy to do. There's no excuse not to know where your local emergency response is, okay? It might be a lot quicker. You might figure out that it's right around the corner from you. Instead, you call 911 and sit there and wait for 20 minutes for somebody to show up to stop the bleed, okay? Understanding basic medical stuff is super important. We're not getting into that on this podcast, but that's part of our contingency planning. These little things that you think about within the situation that you're in, the environment you're in, are going to help set you up for success. Remember, guys, everybody's out there hustling and bustling. It's the holiday season. I want everybody to be able to go out there with a little bit more awareness than they started. If you listen to this podcast today, please do yourself a favor, create some of these habits, put your phone away, look around you, be the asset in your environment, step up to do the right thing, look everywhere that you're going, try to plan, create contingencies, know where your in and outs are, and just be better. Become that asset, guys. We always talk about here at Dynamis, liability to asset. That's what we're creating. I want to be an asset for everybody. Whether I know you or not, I'm going to try to be an asset for you when the time comes and I'm needed. And I hope all you guys out there create that level of thinking in your own lives, whether how big or small the situation might be. You might be that person one day and you might have to step up and do something. And again, that percentage exists. Let's crush that percentage down to nothing. Let's be proactive. Let's do those little things that are going to set us apart from everything else. And if you guys want to find out any more information on what we're doing, I'm trying to put out more tips and tactics, especially through our program at Armor Up. Go to armorup.com and look at what we're doing in this program. It's mental, physical, spiritual, but we're starting to add these techniques of, do we have the right combative skills? Do we have the right awareness skills? Are we getting repetition in them? Are we carrying the right gear? This is stuff that you guys should be asking yourself. So quick recap, guys. Remember, we talked about awareness today, putting it into practice. Create that habit. 60 to 90 days from now, be intentional. Write it down. Maybe we'll create some type of a screensaver for you guys to be able to download that you can put on your phone for free, just so you can give your kids or you can give somebody else out there that is just going to say, hey, if you're looking to be more aware, it starts with your phone. It starts with your awareness. We live in that pre-fight. Let's get better at it. Let's set ourselves up for success. I appreciate it, guys. Remember, live it. Take action. Be proactive. God bless everybody. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody's having a great holiday season, and hopefully you guys get a lot out of this, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Crush everything.